Today's lesson is on systems of linear inequalities. If you recall back to last chapter, we worked with linear inequalities, and now we're just creating it with where there's more than one. So as you can see, I've already marked here. The first thing you want to do is graph that first inequality, which, as you can see, has a slope of 1/3 and a y-intercept of 4. So I'll go ahead and graph this. I'm going to graph it in blue. Y-intercept of 4 and a slope of rise of 1, run of 3, rise of 1, run of 3, rise of 1, run of 3. And because it is less than or equal to, we know it's going to be a solid line. And then, as you recall from last chapter, we want to test a point, and we'll check 0, 0. If I put that in, 0 is in fact less than or equal to 4. So I can go ahead and shade below the line. And then we can go ahead and graph the second line. And that one has a slope, as you can see, of -5/3 and a y-intercept of 10. So we'll graph 10 and then go down 5, forward 3, down 5, forward 3. And this one, because it is less than, pardon my writing from before, therefore it will be a dashed line. And then we can go ahead and pick a point to check for our shading. And if we pick 0, 0 again, 0 is in fact less than 10. Therefore we will shade below the line again. And this is the great part about using the highlighter, because if you just color in general with a pen, it really gets really hard to tell where the overlap is. And here it's really easy to tell where the overlap is because of the fact that it is colored. So we've graphed the first inequality and chose a point to determine shading. Then we graphed the second inequality and chose the point to determine shading. And then finally, where the shading overlaps is our solution set. So our solution set is going to be that green area. And if you want to then erase the blue and the yellow, if you're using Notability, please feel free to do so. Taking a look at the next example. Now we have a system that has 3 inequalities, and we are going to go ahead and graph those. So it's the same process, you just now have 3. So that first one has a y-intercept of -1 and a slope of -1. So we will go downward to the right, and it is a solid line. And so we'll draw on our solid line. I'm going to check the point 0, 0, which is good because 0 is greater than -1. So we'll go ahead and highlight there. And then we move on to our next inequality, which is y is less than or equal to 2x plus 1. We get our point at +1, and we go up 2, forward 1, up 2, forward 1, up 2, forward 1. This one also is a solid line. And if I put 0, 0 in here, I get a true statement again. So we'll go ahead and shade where 0, 0 is for this one. I'm not as concerned about the shading in the blue area being super neat because that's not part of our solution set. And finally, we will graph our last one, which is x is less than 1. Remember, if it's an x, it has to cross the x-axis, and it has to cross the x-axis at 1. So, and because it is there, we were going to have a vertical line. This one is going to be a dashed line. And less than, we are going to shade to the left of the line. So we'll get one more color in there. And that darkest region, as you can see, it gets very colorful very quickly. We've got lots of multiple colors in here, but that black region is our solution. So if it helps you, you can go ahead and mark that is our solution area. And if you want to go ahead and erase the others, you can do that as well. Moving on. Now we have a system that has 4 inequalities. So we'll start here. This time we're going to use the pen because 4 starts to get really messy with the overlapping of colors with how colorful that last one got. So our first equation has a y-intercept of 5 and has a slope of -2. So we'll go down 2 forward 1, down 2 forward 1. And this one is a dashed line because it is strictly greater than. And when we go to shade this, this is greater than. So if I test 0, 0, 0, 0 does not work. So we can go ahead and shade over here. Switching over to our red equation, this one has a y-intercept of 1 and has a slope of +3. So we go up 3, forward 1, up 3, forward 1, and this one has a solid line. And if we check 0, 0, we get a true statement. So we are going to shade over here, and for now I'm just going to shade there because that's where the double overlap is. Then I have my green line, x is greater than or equal to 0, which is actually our y-axis. And it is a solid line because it is greater than or equal to. And it is greater, so that means I'm going to shade over here, and once again I'm only going to shade in the highlighted region. I know it looks kind of messy. And then we finally have y is greater than or equal to 0, which actually ends up being our x-axis. It is a solid line once again. And now I'm going to get out the highlighter, and as you can see, it is going to be in this region here where all of the lines end up intersecting. The most challenging part is probably going to be to see through all of your shading, so please make sure that you are cautious when you are shading so that way you can get the right